Now, starting children reading young can build a lifelong love of books, but for some, reading doesn't come particularly easily, and that is where a charity called ARCh steps in. It works one-on-one with children in primary schools across Oxfordshire. And the charity has now been honoured by the Queen. It's been given the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, which is the highest award a voluntary group can receive. I have two representatives of ARCh here, Elaine Adams and Jane Rendle. Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations, first of all. That's very good news about the honour.
Thank you. We were delighted.
Who started it? Who's responsible for the origins of this charity?
It's a joint
Hang on,
effort.
let's work out who's going to speak. Jane, you tell me.
It was a joint effort. ARCh started 8 years ago, 2008. Elaine and myself and Lucy, one of our colleagues, really set the charity up in Oxfordshire. We, at that point, had 120 volunteers. We had been the Oxfordshire branch of a national charity called Volunteer Reading Help at that time. Funding dried up for the south of England, recession coming, and so they pulled out of Oxfordshire and other counties, and we felt we couldn't let the service die. We knew the need for the service, and so with a lot of local supporters, actually, their help and our present volunteers, we set up ARCh, a completely separate Oxfordshire charity, carrying on that really good work.
Now, I'm presuming, Elaine, you tell me about this, I'm presuming that you wouldn't have come to this if you didn't have some sort of personal knowledge or involvement. What was it for you?
I've always had a love of reading. I've read with my own children. I've got 5 grandchildren now. Reading has always been an important part of my life. And when I started, I've got the job working for the national charity, as Jane mentioned, about 15 years ago. And it just once gets into your system, and the joy of reading and sharing it with children is such a wonderful thing. And when we had the opportunity of starting the charity ourselves and just focusing just on Oxfordshire children, so when we do get funding, all the funders know that money is going towards helping the children of this county, which is wonderful for them to know. It gets more supporters. People want to support, obviously, in their own areas, and the children benefit from the personal service that all our volunteers give.
If you've been fortunate to just come to reading fairly naturally, or you've had children that come to reading fairly naturally, you wonder what all the fuss is about. But it's a struggle for some, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Some children perhaps don't get the support at home. It's quite a busy life for some parents. There are all sorts of situations in homes these days where reading just can't be a priority. The bedtime story that perhaps we grew up with isn't happening at the moment, perhaps for some children. Some children don't see themselves as readers, perhaps haven't found the right books to engage them. And that's where our volunteers come in, really. They work one-to-one with children. They get to know the children. They find out their interests. We can then source just the right books to really hook those children into reading. And it's, the most important life skill that you can get.
And I suppose if your parents weren't readers or struggled with reading or found no joy whatsoever in reading, they're not going to instinctively pass it on to you, are they?
No, absolutely. And you can't blame anyone. I mean, it could be for many reasons that these children don't get the, the influence at home. But, what we say to our volunteers is never mind the background, what their problems are, their issues. All they need to do is just share the love of reading. And if you can show your own passion for reading and show that you can escape into stories and get so much from them, share it with the children is such an easy thing to do. And it's just time, really, that we give to the children as well. Our volunteers go in twice a week and see individual children for half an hour each time. So they get very much attached to those individual volunteers. They get to know the children's interests, what they like and what books they can find on the subjects. It might be football. A child might just like nothing else, don't like reading, don't like school, but I love my football. Great, we'll go and get a Frankie Lampard latest book on football stories, and then they're inspired and their eyes open. They think, oh, I can read about it, not just play it.
You're looking for more volunteers?
Definitely, yes.
Who comes and volunteers? What's an ideal volunteer?
Oh, well, an ideal volunteer, you don't have to have any qualifications. You just have to like children, love reading, want to share that love, have good communication skills, really, and have the time. It is a time commitment. So the volunteers go into the primary school twice a week for an hour and a half during the school day, but you do get school holidays off, so that's good. We do ask volunteers to commit for a whole year as well, because they continue to work with those 3 children for a whole year, because it's a long-term intervention that we're giving these children.
Well, there's somebody in my circle of acquaintances who does this, goes into to schools and reads with the children, and she was just saying the other day, it's one of the most rewarding things she's ever done in her life.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yes, and that's a lot of our volunteers do say that, actually.
How do people get in touch with you, find out about where you are and so on?
Well, we've got a website, archoxfordshire.org.uk. You can telephone us. We're always happy to talk to people. So it's Bicester 320 380. And you can email us as well, info@archoxfordshire.org.uk.
We will keep your details here in case somebody's inspired by this and wants to join. Before I let you go, Elaine, I had a word with your mother Friday, wasn't it, on the programme, in a completely unrelated matter, because she was going off to the Christchurch Cathedral celebration of the Queen.
Absolutely, and she loved it. She had a wonderful time. She actually spoke to the Lord Lieutenant. She's got a lovely picture of him. She's about 4 foot tall, and he's rather a tall man, but it's a lovely picture, and she's honoured it. It's on her sort of dressing table at home, so she keeps looking at that. But she did. It was a lovely occasion, really nice. I think there was about 30 or 40 nearly 90-year-olds and 90-year-olds.
Yes, these were all the people who were born in 1926 and were either 90 already or would be in the course of this year.
Yeah, she feels very famous. I think her picture's in the paper as well. She sent it back to her family in Gibraltar, and they all feel she just must be famous in this country now. So it was lovely. She really enjoyed it.
Excellent. And before we came on air, you divulged to me the secret that I was interviewing her in a dressing gown and slippers, wasn't I?
Oh, no, you told her.
No longer a secret.
Oh, she won't like me for that.
That's it, you're fired. Such a lovely daughter she used to be.
With exclusive access to Oxfordshire's travel cameras.